guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. As always, I have Adil with me and special guest tonight joining us, Wale Adeyemi, former Barnet Academy player. Wale, welcome. Great to have you
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice being here. It's nice being here. I'm excited to see how it goes, you know. Can't
here.
lie, but yeah.
Hopefully it goes good. Hopefully it goes good.
Yeah, man.
Let's get started because obviously it's been another exciting week of Premier League football and also FA Cup actions as well. We'll start with the North London team, Tottenham Hotspur, where seems to be a lot happening with the manager
Yeah.
and his team itself. Firstly, let's just look into the game itself. Adi, um what was your view of the game? I mean, 3-3 draw, considering they were ahead twice.
Yeah, similar problems. It was quite evident during the game that as soon as they went 3-1 up, the problems with the Conte regime and the players, and the reason why Conte's subsequent rant was all because once they went 3-1 up, they continued to play attacking. And then once the ball went out, Conte was remonstrating, shouting at the players, calling players over, wanting them to go into a low block, counter-attacking. And obviously, they went more and more reactive and less proactive, and it ended up with a 3-3 draw. So you could see during the game the actual issues that then, Conte laid out there in the post match. And the thing is, they were 1-0 up. They went to that defensive mode. Southampton got into the game. They went 2-1 up. They carried on attacking. They went 3-1 up. So they wanted to carry on attacking. You can see the team is now kind of outgrowing. I don't know if outgrowing the right word, but maybe definitely not aligned with the
Vision of
tactics of
Conte.
Conte. They don't want to go and start giving the initiative back to the opposition, which Conte on the sidelines made sure he let know who was the boss. He was very animated, even though they're 3-1 up, shouting at players, calling Dyer over, calling I think Kane over at one time, shouting over, and it got to such a point where he made his point to such a level that Kane literally played in defensive mid position for the rest of the game. So yeah, definitely it was a strange game. You got to say to Southampton, they showed a lot of heart in the second half, but you can't help but feel Tottenham, for being in such a dominant position, chose to give it away.
I mean, Wale, what was your take of the game before we move into the outburst?
You know what it is? You know what it is with Tottenham, yeah? I feel like their tactics, it's outdated now, you know. Like, I feel like Conte as a whole manager, his whole system is like, it's outdated. Like, the whole low block that Tottenham played, like when Adele said it, when they went 3-1 up here, I don't feel like they went attacking. I feel like they went way more defensive, like trying to hold on. And a team like Tottenham shouldn't be trying to hold on against Southampton. Like, let's be real. And like the fact that a pony hair tail Theo Walcott, yeah, is getting a goal and assist here in 2023 is crazy, bro. Like if it was like maybe like the low cut Theo Walcott, yeah, with the low fade and
He's doing it for the
Theo
Gooners.
Walcott,
He's doing it for the
exactly.
Gooners.
If it was that him, nah, I can't. But Theo Walcott, yeah, running in behind defenders in 2023 is crazy. I think a team like Tottenham, yeah, holding against Southampton is not really, it's not really what Tottenham are supposed to be doing. Like, especially blowing Southampton out of the water because they've changed like managers like what? They changed managers like 4 times this season or something. Do you get it? Like, it's not really a thing where like, do you get it? Do you get it? And like, not one Tottenham, they can't be relying on one player, yeah, the whole time. Like, it's not every time Harry Kane. I think he has like what 23 goals this season or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
Like, he's been doing this for Tottenham again and again and again and again. Like, I think what Tottenham said about the only individuals is right. Like, everyone's playing for themselves. Like, Harry Kane just wants to score goals. There's no trophies, no motivation behind the whole team in it. So
we'll get into that. We'll get into that. I mean, in terms of the game, I mean, I get your point about Harry Kane, but in this game, I would say, obviously,
I feel like Conte's tactics is outdated, bro. It's outdated. Like, it's not really like he needs to. They sit too deep. The owners a low block. They're not trying to press. No one's moving. I don't know. I don't really rate Conte's tactics like that, man, and that's why I think they lost.
Adi, would you just put it to the tactics that they lost, or there's more to it?
It's not. I mean, Conte's tactics is the modern football of today, where it's all about the high press, the counter press, possession, fast transitions. That's the game today. That's the most successful teams. Whether it's Napoli, whether it's Barcelona, whether it's Man City, Arsenal, Real
But if you
Madrid,
look at Tottenham's team, they don't have
Bayern
like
Munich.
athletic players and that to have
Yeah.
like to press, high press, and counter press. They don't really have athletic players to do that. You know.
Yeah, so I think what it is I don't have a problem with the tactics. It's just the players don't want to perform it because it's not modern football, and those players don't fit Conte. Conte wants
Exactly.
players who can understand the Italian style of the strategy of counter-attack, catenaccio. That's what he wants. He wants players who appreciate playing different game plans and different styles within a game. He hasn't got those players. Why? Because what type of players like that is experienced players, and he don't have that. Tottenham's model has always been buy young, raise the value, and eventually sell, or you've saved a lot of money because you brought them young and turned them into world class or elite level players. So the model just does not fit the manager, and the manager tried changing the philosophy of the chairman, of the players, and ultimately the chairman always wins because he controls the signing of players, and he always ends up signing players with potential. And Conte doesn't want that. He wants players now ready-made.
You know what it is? You know what I see? Yeah, with Conte, yeah, he's always been the problem. Like he's always complaining about transfers. Like when he's at Chelsea, he complained about not getting the transfers he wanted. When he was at was it Inter
Milan?
Yeah, he was complaining about the transfers he didn't get. When he's at Tottenham, now he's complaining about the transfers. He had his seasons to bring. He brought in what? Kulusevski. He brought in Perisic. Who else he bring in? Højbjerg. Is that Bentancur?
Højbjerg is already there. Højbjerg is already there.
He's already there. He brought in his players that he needed. I think he is the issue.
But I think with Conte, he's what the point he's trying to make, and the reason why this has been played out in the media is because the summer before and in the January before, they brought the signings Conte wanted, and they got to top four. In January, when he wanted extra boost of players, they got him Kulusevski, Betancourt. This summer, it was very much down to the old model, getting players that he doesn't want, and that's why he's publicly made a big hoo-ha about they didn't get rid of the players he wanted to get rid of. He wanted to get rid of Emerson Royal. He wanted to get a different right back in from day one. He wanted to change certain positions.
They did
not go for that. They went for Jed Spence. Yeah, they went for all these other young and upcoming players, and that's where the relationship broke down. This summer is because they no longer followed the plan that worked the previous year. They didn't build on it.
Adi, we'll get onto that Daniel Levy part a bit later, but let's focus on the team aspect, because obviously Conte came out and literally you can pretty much say he called his own team out to be losers, because in 20 years they haven't won anything, and you can see why. So what's your take on that? Because from you're a coach and from your perspective, what do you make of that? Because surely that's your putting pressure on the player. Well, you're devaluing the players.
Well, it's like Wale said, it's typical Conte. It's true to Conte's form. Every single time when he asks for a club to match his ambitions, and they stop matching his ambition, he does this thing of basically holding the club to ransom until he forces them to give him a big payout, and this is what he's doing. So ultimately, he's turning the screw, making the situation worse. He's trying to force Daniel Levy's hand in, pay me my compensation and let me leave now. And I think this is another thing, because how can a manager of his ilk criticize the team to that level and not include himself? He talks about the team, the squad, all for one for all. We're all in it together. He talks all about these things. And then the moment he's not happy with the result, he's not happy with the signings, he's going to, hang the players out to dry like that. I'm sorry, I just don't. So I think he's missed the point. He's definitely been misguided in the way he's given his message. But that's the thing. He knows he's leaving. Everyone knows he's leaving at the end of his contract. He'd rather not put up with a team that already senses that the manager's leaving, and he can already see the shift, like in yesterday's game, where they stopped listening to him. And then he had to really remonstrate and call players to the side and really shout at them before they started to listen to him again. And what happened? They listened to him in such a way where they made sure that, the game ended up a draw. So they followed his defensive tactics without really applying pressure the way he would want it.
Yeah.
So now it looks like Conte's the problem. So really, Conte's gone ahead of the curve. He's going to dish it all out to his players before the blame can come onto him.
Yeah.
Again, it's just a guy who's leaving, walking out the door, and has no regard for keeping the unity of team spirit.
But I mean, as a player, Wally, surely hearing your manager say something like that, surely it's not going to be helpful for you and loses your trust or the faith you had within the manager itself. If they call you out like how he had, and it's not even one individual or two individuals, it's the whole squad is called out. Even someone like Harry Kane.
No, it's not. It is. When you lose trust in the manager, you can feel it. It all starts in the dressing room, but it starts at training. So for me personally, I think when I was like 15-ish, I was playing when I was at Barnet, oh my days. So we were losing like 6 games in a row. We were losing. We're getting battered like 6-7-0 because we had some next PE teacher coaching us, and I don't know why he was coaching us, but it's what it is, isn't it? Then we just started gossiping at training. There's always this one guy that always starts it. So I won't say his name, innit? But he always starts it, and they start like, oh, we're losing. It's always the players that aren't getting picked or aren't playing well. Because like usually as a player, when you're having a bad season, it's human nature not to blame yourself. You want to blame someone else, innit? To look to blame the manager, like, oh, it's his fault. He's not picking me. His tactics are rubbish, rare, all stuff like that, innit? So obviously it starts at training, then it moves over to the dressing room, and then that translates into bad performances into the pitch. Because no one's really playing for the manager. But then the next season, we got this good manager. His name was Kyron. Shout out to that guy. He's a good manager still. He was a good manager, and obviously, and he was good. Like he really lifted morale. We all felt good. We felt like we were playing for a cause. When you have a manager like that calls you out in training or being like disrespectful towards you or being disrespectful to the whole team, you can tell by their body language, innit? When you have a good manager that stays behind you, it's like you can tell when you play for him, innit? And I think the Tottenham team have stopped playing for Conte. Like with Pochettino, that's how they got to the semi-final of the Champions League, because they were all playing for him. They would die for him. That's how they got to the final. Sorry, final or semi-final?
Yeah, final.
Final. Yeah, and because they would die for him. But with Conte, it's like you have players like Richarlison coming out and saying this season's been rubbish. And this is how you know the whole Spurs team is they're finished now. Because how can you call out your manager and say the season's been rubbish, and then you start the next game as striker, and then you score a goal as striker, you shush Conte, and the goal's been ruled out offside? That just explains Tottenham in a whole sentence. That's just what Tottenham do. Like, but if that was me, if I was to call a manager like that, I would never play for a club again. Well, that's the end of it. But for him to start the next game,
it just seems like obviously there's a clear division between the players and the manager at the moment.
Yeah,
and the other part is sorry, I do.
No, I was saying I think it's hard for a team a manager to request 100% commitment and players to die for you when they can see the manager's just trying to get the sack.
Yeah,
this is the thing. He and like Wally said, players are starting to call it out. Players are starting to question it. Under Stellini, there was a freedom in the way they played. They were allowed to attack more. They were enjoying their football more. Now they're going back to Conte's dictatorial style of play and defensive play, and on top of that, he's always giving these press conferences where he's questioning his commitment, he's challenging the club to sack him. It's boiled over because ultimately everyone can see what's really happening, which is a manager who wants to leave, a chairman who doesn't want to pay the compensation to get rid of him, and yet the players are the ones on the firing line because the mic is on the manager and he gets to dictate the narrative.
Adi, don't you think he does have a point though with regards to obviously how the culture at Tottenham is in terms of not winning anything and how it's laxy daisy? Don't you think he has a point there?
No, I mean, look, how many other clubs can you say that about? Not everyone can.
Exactly.
Not everyone can smash it, but yeah, there is a problem with the owner. He has clearly directed the issue at the owner. This summer's problem, this January's problem is the owner. There was no reason for them to move away from what worked the previous season. If you get Conte in, get the players he wants. He'll
You know
win
what it is?
with that.
You know what it is about the
force
owner
the
as well?
manager to have players he don't like, or the types of players he don't want to work with.
Like he forces, and even the chairman forces people to be there that don't want to be there. Harry Kane don't want to be there anymore. He's linked to the move every 10 seconds. He don't want to be there. Like Jed Spence was there against his own will. There's so many players in that team that they just don't want to be there anymore, you know. And they play players that they're not Tottenham quality anymore. Hugo Lloris is not Tottenham quality. You're not gonna win a Premier League with Emerson Royal at left back. You're not gonna win Premier League with what? Who they playing in centre midfield? Højbjerg. Like he's a decent midfielder, yeah, but it's not Premier League like Premier League winning quality. If you look at the other teams,
elite level.
Yeah, you don't have look at other teams. You have Enzo Fernandez for Chelsea. We're having Thiago for Liverpool. Arsenal, we have Partey, Odegaard. Man City, De Bruyne options is everywhere. With Tottenham, apart from Harry Kane and Human Song, who's only good every 2 months. I don't know how many.
This year he's been awful. So
yeah, he's like Human Songs. He has like purple patches every 2 seconds. I don't know. He's a weird guy, innit? But apart from Harry Kane, I don't know any elite level players they have. And you can't bring in a 33-year-old Perisic, yeah, and expect to win the league. Like that's not really.
The thing is, this I mean, they're the type of players that Conte likes because of their mentality and the experience they have. And it brings to my other point I wanted to ask you with regards to Conte and Daniel Levy's relationship. Daniel Levy knew what he's getting into the dressing room. He's getting Conte in, he knows what he wants. So considering that and considering that the fact that he saw the success that they had last year when he did able to bring in Bentancur and Kuleveski and they managed to get top 4, why would you go off it? If they can second part is if the manager's not committing to the future, you need to just get rid of him and get your next partner in because it's not helping any of the situation.
I just think Levy is probably the master at playing poker, man. This guy is just too crafty and clever for everyone. It's too widely. You go back to last season, before the January window, Tottenham went to a bad patch, and Conte was saying similar type of press conferences where he's putting all the blame and pressure on the owners. And the actual crowd and the fans were turning against Levy. And at that moment, it was like, wow, the Conte has the backing of the supporters more than the board has. And I thought that's the first time I've ever seen that situation where the fans hated and turned on the board. Now fast forward the whole year, look what he's done. He gave Conte the players he wanted that January. Kept him on song, kept the fans on song, and then went back to playing his games this summer, undermining the manager with not supporting him with the players that he wants. Ultimately, you've hired him as your manager. You need to get the players he wants, not the players you want to raise the value of the club or raise the value of players. So he didn't want just they shouldn't have brought him. Simple as.
Who would you recommend for them to come in though? Who would you recommend to come in for like Tottenham?
They want Poch, don't they? They want Poch. That's what they want.
They want Poch, but I think if they really want to take the next step, they should be going for people like Tuchel. But again, with Tuchel, they'll have the same problem.
He's not gonna come. Yeah, he's not gonna come.
With Tuchel, they'll have the same problem because he's very specific. He does not want young players that he wants to be. He wants players ready and now. He likes he likes to go for all the superstars. You know, it's slightly different profile of player to what Conte will ask for. Conte will ask for workhorses, defensive players. Tuchel will ask for all flair players, but he will want experience, ready-made ones. So this is the thing. I don't see how. But all I know is Levy has played it really well because you don't see anyone supporting Conte at the moment.
No.
And like we said, we will all say, yeah, he's got a point in a lot of what he says. But Levy has waited a whole year to change the whole narrative where the fingers being pointed squarely at Conte and nothing on the board really. Even though they will say, yeah, there's a valid points he's making. Conte has played this so badly, that it's not working, and he played it so well the year before.
Are
don't think you're right,
are you surprised the fact that after that outburst that he hasn't been sacked? Is it simply because of the compensation part? Is that the only reason that he's staying and probably staying until the end of the end of the Premier League season?
They've done that before, where they take a long time to actually move the manager on. It's like you can tell there's negotiations going on in the background. And it's a bit
that could cost them the top four, I do, and that's going to cost them even more than what they would probably lose if they were to get rid of him straight away.
Yeah, but I think they've waited until it's got to the point where it's already starting to cost them the top four, so that it's not as much of a loss.
And I think what Conte is
all
saying,
it takes is the next round of fixtures for Brighton, Liverpool, Newcastle to win, and suddenly Tottenham are in, fifth, sixth, and then if they sack him, then, and this is what they did with Mourinho. They were going to sack him for so long, and then they waited for the right time, and they realized, okay, we got the cup final. If we win, we can't do it. Let's get rid of him now. Bang. And they waited for him just to, I think, a big game, and then they got rid of him.
I think it's in the DNA of Tottenham though, because if you look at the managers that they had, let's start from Pochettino. When Pochettino left Tottenham, of course he joined PSG, big team. Of course he's going to win the French league, innit? But that's what's expected of a manager. Look at the man they had before that. Jose Mourinho, yeah. When he came to Chelsea, he won the league. At Roma, he won the Europa Conference League. At Tottenham, he won nothing. Conte with Chelsea, he won the league. Inter Milan, he won the Scudetto.
Yeah, he won the league.
He won the league. He won the Scudetto. He comes to Tottenham, he wins nothing. It has to be, like Adam was saying, it's something with the board. The board has to be the problem here. Because you can't bring world-class manager after world-class manager after world-class manager.
Listen, I'm itching. My gunner blood is itching to just gun them. Yeah, you guys are tempting me too much. Okay, this is not
what I'm saying, Hassan, is for years under United, everyone criticized Woodward, and the same thing happened. Look what has happened to the club the moment Woodward is out. The first time the club is going right, and it's the same problem with Levy. At the end of the day, he's more interested in the value of the club and the balance sheet than he is with success on the pitch. You can't have that. If you want success, it has to come top down. Everybody thinks about winning, reads winning, and drives that mindset all the way through, from the top all the way down to the bottom. You don't have that, Tottenham. At United under Woodward is all about marketing, and Levy, it's all about raising the value of the club.
I mean, it's interesting what you say, Adil, with regards to obviously the next round of fixtures, because Tottenham are on 49 points with 28 games played. Newcastle got 2 games in hand with them. Liverpool got 2 games in hand. Newcastle only 2 points behind them. Brighton got 3 games in hand with them on 42 points, which is 7 points.
Pretty much everyone wins their game.
Everyone wins the game. Yeah, everyone wins the game. They're going ahead of them.
And I think that's what they're waiting for, is to kill that argument that Conte left them in top 4 position, and whoever comes in, if they miss out on the top 4, then there's going to be a semi-blame on the board. So I just think they're trying to ride that until the next round of fixtures, make sure Tottenham's out of the top 4, and I think the way the compensation packages are, it also depends on where the team is when they sack a manager, because it's the exact same thing with Mourinho, and I think they waited for them to fall to 9th place, and then they sacked him because the compensation was a lot less than if he's in a European place or Champions League place. So it does seem like that's what's going on here. And again, it's a small club mentality to think like that, to behave like that.
I mean, let's just wrap up on the Tottenham part. I mean, in terms of them, obviously, It's going to cost them massively financially because obviously they built a new stadium now, no Champions League. If they don't get it, that's going to cost them even more. And paying off those debts, they won't probably be able to afford the players they want, and potentially they might have their superstar Harry Kane living in the summer. Let's move on to the other side of London, to Chelsea and Graham Potter. 2-2 draw. Seemed like positive before, but obviously with the draw, it seems like it's gone back to square one again.
It's a scam. It's a scam. It's a scam. Listen, this is great. The GP is a scam. Listen, the whole green patch we had before, yeah, it's a scam. It's not real. It was never real. We won against Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, it was a fluke. I don't know how we did that. It was a complete fluke. Yeah. Listen, against Everton was it? Yeah. So we go 2-1 up. Yeah. How João Felix, yeah, finally he breaks his bad luck. The guy's always hitting the crossbar post. He finally scores in Stamford Bridge. His first score in Stamford Bridge, I think. Then Kai Havertz scores a penalty, which is 2-1. I think I forgot who scored. I think they scored some
2-1. Kai Havertz scores.
Yeah. And then someone, I think Kai was trying to clear it off the line before when they scored in it, some set piece goal. That's like such a Sean Dyche goal, anyways. But it's instead of then now it's 2-1 up here. We're Chelsea at home. Yeah. Instead of bringing on Madueke, Mudryk, Sterling, whoever, bring on attacking players, the guy brings on defensive-minded players. And the reason why he does this is because he's such a mid-table manager. His mentality is, okay, we're 2-1 up against Everton. Let's try hold on, build some momentum until we get to Real Madrid. Then everyone will be more more confident. You know what I mean? So we're 2-1 up at Stamford Bridge, and you're bringing on defensive-minded players. Like, I don't see any greens about Potter or anything. I don't see any greens about Potter's management style. Like, he's clearly a mid-table manager. He's out of his depth. He doesn't know what he's doing. Like,
I do.
The players love him.
On Waller's point, obviously, and also about Tottenham. I mean, what do you make of it? As a coach, I mean, do you think he's gone defensive and is overprotecting the result rather than actually being who they are, Chelsea Football Club, big team, and go out there attack? Do you think the negative idea has cost him?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely made negative substitutions, defensive. He reinforced the defensive side of things, and he wasn't really going for the kill. But he's done that all season. I think the previous games he's done the same thing, and they've managed to just see out the result. And I think he's trying to do the same thing. But I think more to that is that's the mindset that he's setting, which is see out the result rather than go out there and show you're the better team until the final whistle, and continue to attack, continue to get more goals, continue to get a 2-goal lead. And that mindset just ain't there. As soon as they take the lead, it's a hold on mentality. It's
exactly
spreading. And it showed against Everton again. And the other previous games, they managed to get to it, but they were moments where it was a bit panicky and they're dropping a bit deep, defending deep, but they saw it out. This time they didn't. And yeah, that's where Chelsea are. They're going to be inconsistent while the manager
do you know who surprised me?
Become a winner.
Do you know who surprised me? Koulibaly. That guy, I thought he was actually like a world-class defender. I was watching, everyone wanted him. Man United wanted him, Man City wanted him, Chelsea wanted him. Everyone wanted him, this guy, yeah. This guy is honestly the worst defender we have at our club right now. I'll say he's even worse than Trevor Chalobah. He's worse than Chalobah. He's worse than Trevor Chalobah, I swear. The way he got cooked by Lee Sims, something Sims?
Ellis Sims.
Yeah. Sims, something, bro. I was shocked. Like, Koulibaly was having like a good patch against her. He was playing well, like he was doing all right. Like, obviously, like fans were on him at first, innit? Ever since we got sent off at Leeds. But honestly, he shouldn't be losing his marker like that, and Kepa shouldn't be beaten like that. Like,
it's something, Wale, that we've discussed. Me and Nadia discussed previously on. I think not even before the red card he got against Leeds. I think we recognized already that he was having issues with the pace of the
honestly.
And it was causing issues. That's why he was taken out.
I think the biggest problem Koulibaly has is he keeps trying to go in tight because he feels comfortable getting physical with players, and he wants to kind of control the players' movement by being right onto them, physically tight on them. And what happens when the defender takes his side on? That's when you see that lack of confidence in going in tight. So then he's in no man's land, and it allows the pace. And obviously they are playing slightly higher up the pitch, so it just makes it difficult for him to and that's the thing. Everton played well. I mean, Everton realized the weakness in Chelsea, and second half they went a lot more direct. They put another player in the 10th position, and Enzo Fernandez couldn't pick him up. No one could pick up the knock-ons, and that's what allowed players like Ellison to get onto the ball. So I think definitely, even though Potter tried making like for like or slightly defensive subs, he didn't actually tackle what was going on in the game, which was
I don't understand why Mudryk was not brought on.
But
I'm
do you think he lacks game intelligence then, Adil? It seems like there's some tactical issues that he doesn't realize what's going on during the game. Is there a problem with match management?
I think the problem is he's too busy trying to keep players happy or trying to manage the squad rather than manage the match. Because ultimately, if you keep winning, the players that are getting upset and not being given the chance don't actually have a platform to say anything because you've won. And sometimes the manager has to realize that, okay, you might feel like a player deserves a chance because they've been training well. But when it comes to match day, it's about the match. It's about winning. It doesn't matter whether the player deserves to get a run out or not. If that's not how the game plays out, you have to make the decisions to see out the game. And I feel like he makes the changes that are more popular with the squad rather than look at the game. They needed to get someone else into that. Enzo, the ball was just going over the head of Enzo and Kovacic. They needed to get a different physical type of defensive midfield. Like you got Zakari, you got those type of players on your squad.
He doesn't even play like.
So he had to just use the players that he had, the profile of the players he had, and I just think he managed it wrong.
I mean, he had the beast back in the bench. Kante.
Even
was he actually in the bench? Oh, he was.
Kante was in the bench. So I mean, you don't put the beast on when you're trying to hold them to a lead. That's definitely going to be an issue.
And you know what it is with Chelsea as well? Chelsea fans, we're getting too deluded now. We're getting too ahead of ourselves. The fact we think we can actually beat Real Madrid, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about Graham Potter, Carlo Ancelotti matchup. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
I think the money that you spent and the razzmatazz and the hype the Chelsea train has got because of the spending the money and they're getting all these prompts, that's what's kind of excited the fans into like that. When the Roman Abramovich era first came in, they've gone into that mode again where we're the richest club in the world and we're this and we're that. And the same thing happened to Tottenham fans when they got their stadium and they got Conte at the same time. They all got a bit ahead of themselves. And
Chelsea, trust me, when it comes to Chelsea, it's a Chelsea thing to win immediately. We're going to win trophies immediately. But I think what we need to do, dash out Potter, get in, what's that guy's name again? Jose Enrique? Get that guy in now. What's the guy's name?
Luis Enrique.
Luis Enrique. Get the guy in now. I want to see tiki-taka football at the bridge. Nice passing. We need a world-class manager, and Potter's just not cutting it.
Chelsea's always been this boring football club, isn't it?
But it hasn't. Tuchel was
played slow football, low block.
He was.
That's how they've been. What do you know about flair play?
I want to see, but we have these players. We have like Mudryk. We have
wrong side of London you're talking about. But I mean, that's a good place to end. I mean, Adil, is that the only hope they got left in terms of maybe going far in the Champions League? In terms of obviously Premier League, it doesn't seem like they can reach the top four because they're just not consistent enough.
I just think, everything's too soon for them right now under Potter. Like Wally said, Potter's got a mindset to build a team, to build it. He's looking in a slow, long-term way of doing things. And I'm not sure if his mindset matches the ambitions of the fans, the club.
Chelsea, we need results now. We can't. Like, I get it. Yeah, we need to spend £600 million on players. Yeah, we need to gel. Everyone needs to gel. But you can't.
Listen, you spend
keep picking
600
Kai
million.
Havertz.
You need to start getting silverware. You know.
Do you know what I mean? It's simple as no excuses.
Right.
No excuses.
Let's move on. I mean, let's move on to Arsenal before second. So I'm gonna stop it. Yeah, before we move on, obviously, thanks to Wade for joining us today. He had to drop off due to an emergency. I mean, let's move on. Let's move on to Arsenal. Premier League. Obviously, disappointing week for them going out of the Europa League. Going to extra time and penalties. What did you make of their result? 4-1. Very convincing, I would say.
Yeah, I think I had this down as a potential banana skin until they got rid of Crystal Palace under terrible decision of getting rid of Viera.
I couldn't believe it.
Viera, I'm sorry, and I just I couldn't believe that you'd make that decision on a Friday just before Sunday match. I mean, talk about giving the game and having no, like, I don't see what value you can get from that other than that you're that unhappy with the manager that you don't even want to give him the chance to win because it's going to stop you. It's going to make the case to sack him harder. So I think there's maybe a lot more to that story, but that's a side story. It just felt like a walk in the park for Arsenal. It would have been interested if Viera was there, and because they haven't been playing bad, Crystal Palace, and
that's what I was going to say.
How they actually find it easier to perform against the bigger teams.
But
because their star players have more space to attack.
This is the point, because the last fixtures, or the 4 or 5 fixtures they've played Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool, Man City, and now Arsenal. They've been and in between that they played Brighton away also, who's on top form at the moment. So considering that, it wasn't like that he was playing against teams that are in around him and he was losing. He was playing against top teams, and obviously they came across some bad results. And he got a result against Liverpool.
Unlucky.
He got a result against Liverpool as well. So,
but a lot of those results were unlucky too, in the sense that they were losing late goals.
Yeah,
you can question. Viera. He's tactically he hasn't been great in managing a lot of those games. But when you look at the investment they put in the summer, it's not really like they've really given him the support this year. The year before, he done an amazing job because they brought a whole new, not just a team, they signed a whole new squad.
He transformed the whole club.
And for him to be able to gel that team, keep them out of relegation trouble the whole season, and then they not really get the support this summer to kick on. I just feel like he's been doing well. It doesn't matter if he's just 3 points off. Like I said, he's played all the big teams. He's not looked out of form. The players are clearly following him, and you can see he by what he was saying, he was trying to develop the players, develop the team, take them the next level of how to see out games, manage games. He's trying to develop the games, and they did nothing to replace the loss of Conor Gallagher, and you can see the difference that's made to their game. They're a lot more predictable, and they lack the energy and the high press that Conor Gallagher brought them. So I just feel really tough on Viera, and that played into Arsenal's hand. Ultimately, Arsenal lost the game to Sporting Lisbon, and I felt like it was a game that definitely would have hit their self-belief, would have really hit, because so many times in that match It felt like they were the better team. They got the team in control, but they never had the belief to put Sporting away. They always kept giving Sporting chance, a lifeline, hope, and it just felt like that ruthlessness that was there wasn't there. And I just felt like, okay, this game is really good game, tough game. They're gonna feel the pressure. Crystal Palace always bring it against the good teams.
Yeah.
They do a result, and it just felt like, what, Viera going back there.
That's what it felt like.
Isn't that kind of how
Even
it always is, where your a legend of your club comes back and messes up your chances of getting the title?
But like,
so it's all written.
Adi, what you're saying, even against Man City, they only lost because of a silly penalty that Olise gave away on the 75th minute.
Yeah.
Apart from that, they were doing really well to keep Man City at bay. So
I just think Steve Paris is the only one who did not see the potential for a big upset here. And like I said, Arsenal are doing what they got to do. They're clinically disposing of teams, and they looked good. Their attacking looked sharp as ever. Trossard has brought a different element to this team, mobility, more creativity. You're seeing the ball, different players get the ball because he's better at bringing other players into the game, even better than Gabriel Jesus, because Gabriel Jesus sometimes was turning and attacking, and he's attacking at such a pace that no one could keep up with him. But with Trossard, he's doing it in such a way where he's bringing players into the game and he's keeping them involved all the time, and he's allowing other players to be getting on the end of stuff rather than him playing at such a pace that everyone else is kind of struggling to keep up. So that's a find in the sense that at the end of the day, they didn't sign him to play false nine. They signed him to play on the left wing and put pressure on Martinelli, and they found a solution there with his creativity and his ability on the ball. He's very good at back towards goal. He's very good at composure. He's very good at getting the players involved. And slowing down the tempo to allow some of the young guns to get in behind, and you're seeing that again with some of the goals. Martinelli.
But you can see the difference he makes to Martinelli, Adu. You can see.
Yeah, but even Saka, because with Eden Ketcher, Saka was playing so wide.
Yeah.
Now he's able to play slightly more narrower, more closer to
and
the
he's
goal.
in the box more because of the interchange.
Yeah. So I think but you have to be just impressed with the clinical nature in which Arsenal are just disposing, and they're making this so-called pressure of Man City winning and putting pressure on. They're making it look a doddle at the moment. I do still think there's a long way to go. I think it's 9 games to go, is it, or 10 games to go?
It's 10 games to go for Arsenal and 11 for Man City. So
yeah, that's literally a quarter of the season still left. So
it's still a long way.
If you're not feeling the pressure now, because the pressure really hasn't kicked in yet.
I'll tell you why. The pressure is coming after the international break, because the pressure is after the international break. We've got Liverpool away, Man City away, and then Newcastle away.
But tell you what, this World Cup that happened has made the season feel so weird, because we're all talking about this pressure because it's mid-March and it feels like it should be the last 6, 7, 8 games of the season. It's 11 games left.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean,
it feels like a marathon when you hear that.
Got 13 games left, Adu.
Yes, just imagine, I don't know. I mean, I hope Arsenal ain't peaking too early. But it sounds like a long way still to go.
But even if you look at Man City's performance recently, they've raised the bar as well, because they're disposing team like nothing.
Yeah, we said that all season, that even when they were winning and playing poor, we were saying, look, this is not convincing performance. They're not playing the way we expect. I was kind of surprised and scratching my head thinking, why isn't Pep getting into Haaland and these guys for not doing the press the way they do? And it's about timing. He just waited for the right moment for them to get to the business end season, and now he's really kicked them into gear. And all of a sudden, Haaland is linking up to play, doing assists, doing these nice little touches, getting involved in play. Everything that we thought we would see when Haaland went to City, which was a bit more of an all-round game, and we haven't seen it at all. And suddenly, in the last few weeks, he's coming off the line more, he's getting involved more, he's playing that false nine role a bit more, and guess what? He's scoring bags of goals again.
I mean, do you think there's more to come from Haaland? Do you think that I mean, is that something that Pep has been working with him in the background?
I think Pep has played it smart and kind of just left Haaland be, and then maybe in the last few weeks really said, look,
made him realize what he's doing.
Yeah, let him realize that, look, this is the real standards of the club. And I think that's why he was holding up Diaz for so long and taking De Bruyne out the line. I think he wanted to do it where he targets the last portion of the year where he says, this is how you win titles. This is how my Man City plays. And he kind of let them play their way, let them be inconsistent, let them drop points to make his point, which is smart, which is actually now the first time. And one of the reasons why I always had question marks with Pep is because he's always brought ready-made stars, not ready-made, but like young stars, but the superstars. They fit his system perfectly. He's spending, 50, 60 million on every position. And he just always felt like, but now it looks like he's showing that development in his coaching where he's not he's willing to take on the superstars, the super egos like Haaland, and kind of buy his time before he wins them over and wins their trust. We know the old Pep would never go for a ready-made without Haaland because he ain't gonna sprint around, run around, do everything. That's why he struggled with Aguero. That's why he struggled with Ibrahimovic, with Henry, because those guys don't have the energy that he demands from day one. Now you're seeing a mature version of Pep, where he's letting players feel their way, do it, stick to the way they are. He'll buy his time, and then he'll get into their heads and say, okay, now you need to listen to me because we're not going to win nothing.
Before we fully talk about, obviously, Man City and Burnley, I mean, Arsenal, 8 points clear. International break. Man City come back. They straight away play, obviously, Liverpool. Is that a big enough gap for them, considering they're going to play Man City?
Yeah, I think who is the City playing Liverpool?
City playing Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah, so again, that could be a pivotal game week for me. Because I just feel like this Arsenal team, especially now out of Europe, with the signings they've made, they have strengthened, they have got that extra boost that signings in January give. They can last it out, even if it gets tense. And we said that all season. We can see Man City pipping Arsenal only if they keep the pressure on. But this is an inconsistent City. So if City beats Liverpool, I just feel like if it gets to an 8-point gap with the same amount of games, I just don't feel Arsenal implode to that level, considering they still are the team playing the best football, the best attacking football. They're a young team, they're a hungry team. They're gonna keep playing brave. They're not gonna take a backward step. If they concede a goal, they're gonna still go over attack. They're gonna play closer to the win. So is there an 8-point mistake gap against the inconsistent City team? I don't think there is, but if it's a 5-point gap with a consistent City team, yeah, you can see the lack of winning mentality in the squad.
Might be an issue.
Or leaders who have won in the squad could.
This is where Jorginho might help. Obviously, he's won quite a few things, so it might help in the long term, and is a good buy. But let's move on to Man City. Obviously, it was again another student versus master kind of game of Burnley playing Man City, and Man City demolished them 6-0. I mean, but you got to give credit to Vincent Kompany. He came and played the football that he wanted to play. Obviously, the quality is not the same. We can understand, but he showed what he could do.
I've been impressed with Vincent Kompany the whole season. They've done the same thing against United when they played them in the Carling Cup or Carabao Cup, whatever it's called. And he plays extra attacking against the bigger teams, which kind of shows you the mentality that he has. That he in the Championship they play a more solid brand of football, a more possession-based football, but against the bigger teams seems to go more aggressive, and it's quite refreshing. And I think in the long term, it's the right way to go about things, to not to respect these teams too much. And at the end, ultimately, he came up against a machine that's just fine tuning and at the peak of his powers, and they got punished. And
was this kind of Pep just letting him know? Listen, I'm still the big dog.
No, because I just think Vincent Kompany was given all the respect that Pep deserves, and was putting him on the pedestal that he needs. So I don't think it was a case where he needed to do that, or it's just that is the gulf between the two clubs. City can do that to a Premier League team at the end of the day. So, and they have done it recently. So, a bit of over attacking style from Kompany, but he done that against United. He's done that against previous Prem teams where he goes slightly more attacking in the cup games than he does in the league, in the Championship games. So it was always dangerous to do that against City, and they suffered.
We didn't obviously talk about Kompany because they are in the Championship. We don't obviously do much podcast on that. But I mean, he's smashing it on there. I think 15 points clear, and it's completely changed the way Burnley Football Club was looked at, because everyone used to say, like, we used to say rainy day at Stoke. That used to be another thing for Burnley. They used to play similar under Sean Dyche, but he's completely transformed that club within one summer.
I mean, and let's be clear, they're a Premier League team already. I mean, they've knocked out a lot of Premier League teams. I think in the Carabao Cup, in other, I'm not sure if they have in the FA Cup. I think they have, but either way, the way they're playing football, they will do well in the Premier League.
But when they come up, they will get more money. He'll get better players in, and surely with his coaching, they're gonna.
And a lot of the players they brought can do a good job already with most of the teams in the division. Where the difference is, because it's a very brave and attacking brand of football, is when you come up against those elite teams, And look, City scored amazing goals, 1 for goal. They had to play at that top one-touch football level, to really dominate the game against Burnley. But Burnley played well.
But another thing to mention, Vincent Kompany wasn't afraid to change some of his players and play his backups as well. So he wasn't he had faith in his other players as well. So it's good. It's good to see. It's good to see how he's dealing with the fixture congestion, etc. Let's move on. Obviously, another FA Cup tie. Controversy. Man United versus Fulham. 3-1 at the end, but it was 0-0. What? Until I think it's 75 minutes, and then everything just went pear-shaped. Sorry, 1-0.
Yeah, it was 1-0. Well, obviously, Willian knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
I don't see what the hoo-ha was. Again, it's that effect of it actually reminded me of so much of what we saw yesterday, Wolves against Leeds, where the manager and the subs and they're just way too emotional. The assistants are way too emotional. And I understand you're in Old Trafford. It's a big thing to beat United and potentially get to Wembley
for a semi-final.
I get that, but at the end of the day, if you're doing that type of antics and that much emotion, it's gonna spread onto your players onto the pitch. And they were playing well. That second half, they started on fire. They had United pinned, and at the end of the day, it was a well thought out match. But that was a clear handball. It's a
Yeah, yeah.
clear
I mean,
card.
I don't know how they
Clearly,
would think they would get
but
away with that, deal.
I just don't understand why they were so upset. I don't understand what Marco Silva's upset about. It's a handball. It was deliberate. You can see that it was deliberate. It was practically on the line. I've never known a more clear-cut case. I mean, every single time a player handballs it deliberately,
Get sent off.
but the ball goes in the goal, it's a red card and
Yeah.
and a penalty. I mean, I've never seen any other decision made, so I don't get what the controversy is. I don't know what makes Mitrovic think he
Well,
can.
that's what I was gonna say. What was Mitrovic doing?
And I blame it all on Marco Silva. I mean, I understand trying to influence referees or the fourth official, and because at halftime, he's gonna speak, and you can maybe do that. But as soon as it goes after halftime, you can't influence nobody, and you can never influence VAR because they're not even looking at what you're doing or what you're saying.
Yeah.
They're just looking at replays of the incident. So I really do think a lot of it is Marco Silva's fault. And look, who are we talking? We're talking about Willian here, the most experienced player on the pitch. There's no excuses. That the ball was practically going on the line. He said,
I don't think there is an excuse. Obviously, you can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to prevent a goal. Obviously, it's going to be a penalty. He's going to get sent off. But what Marco?
Well, the surprising thing was the referee didn't see it.
Yeah.
That was so clear cut what had happened. You get it. And again, just because it goes to VAR, I don't know why Willian's going on like he's innocent. I don't know why Marco Silva is going on.
I don't know how they think.
I don't understand. You played the game. You're the most experienced guy on the team, in both teams. You're the most experienced guy there. You handballed it. Just own up. Get off the pitch.
See, I mean, it seems like they got overexcited and cost themselves the win or even.
Yeah, I mean, they smelt an opportunity for an upset, and they went into overkill. Ultimately, they got carried away. They were over-attacking. They got done by counter-attack. And in that, rush to get back and, defend your goal from the counter-attacking and bowled it. So, yeah, it's just that lack of experience, that lack of leader maybe in the back, or, and they haven't got a natural leader in the back or in the midfield.
No.
So, yeah.
But I mean, another positive result for United. Obviously, that's another semi-final. Potentially, they could do a treble with the Carling Cup, FA Cup, and Europa League. So, another great result for them, and on to the semi-final.
Yeah, it's another game where you can't say they dominate the game, but they won. They're not playing terrible, but they're not controlling games. And, they are winning games through mentality and playing to win, because you can see a lot of players are tired, jaded. He doesn't, Ten Hag doesn't really like rotating the squad much, especially certain players he never rotates.
No.
So they are playing with the mindset to win and maybe a mindset to score, and that's making them play a bit more fast and direct and play a bit more desperate. It's simply because they don't have the legs to control the game. They don't have the legs to play against teams that are really pressing well. They don't have the energy to keep the ball about, and so look, they're finding a way to win, but by no means are they playing convincing football, and by no means should anyone expect them to, because they just got too many players. They're having to play every game. They're not being able to rotate as much. So that's where the injuries and the suspensions are really affecting them.
let's move on to their opposition in the semi-final. Obviously, who had a thumping 5-0 win against Grimsby, Brighton. They carry on their impressive run in the FA Cup as well as the Premier League.
Yeah, and so much of what they do, the way they play, the brand of football they play, is what the top teams are doing. The high press, the tactical, the way they attack. There's so much of Arsenal, Man City in that, and they're just ripping teams to show they got so much variation in the way they attack. They are a juggernaut. They are tough to stop, and I can see why they dominate position against City. And they play so aggressive in the way they attack, the numbers they have, the movements they have, the rotations. They play to feet. They don't play to space much. When they decide to go to space, they are really fine-tuning the art of when to attack the space. And they really wait and wait and wait until they build up so many players on the attack and ready to receive that ball either in the space, but then attack the space for the players in the box. It's just, you can just see the development of the team, and really they're a 20-goal striker away from seriously.
You have to give them credit. All the credit, obviously, to deserve it. It hasn't been easy for him, Adu. If you realistically look at it, with the issues he had to deal with as well. And look at the way yeah.
I don't
Because
know.
obviously, it comes into a new club, then obviously one of your players want to leave, so on and so forth. But it still managed everything.
I don't think it's that difficult. I'll be honest. I don't think he's had it that difficult. So why if one of your players leaves? That's every club. It's easy when you have such a well-run club, and so many talented players that suit your philosophy, because really, when you look at the lineup, every one of those players, other than Caicedo, from midfield and above, are playmakers pretty much. You got McAllister playing in the second midfield. He's a playmaker. You had Undav playing as the 10. He can play 10 or strike. You got March, who originally started off as a playmaker. You got on the outside Mitoma, a playmaker. You got playmakers everywhere on the pitch, and they're putting the graft in, they're putting the work in, and they're playing some fantastic football. And the difference is a quality striker.
What do you make of?
They have Alexander Isak, for example. They walk in that full position.
No, what I was gonna say is, what do you make of the young Evan Ferguson? Another 2 goals for him.
Oh, he looks like a very good prospect. He looks like a traditional 9. He knows where the goal is. He's got very different types of finishes. His movement is really good. I think he's a potential star in the making. I think he's a striker who has everything to score 15+ goals regularly in the Premier League. Just his movement is really good, and all he probably needs is just to quicken up his shot.
It's his first season, man. He's 18. He's gonna pick this up.
Look, he's getting chances. He's creating chances at 18 years old.
Yeah,
I don't know where he's come from out of nowhere, but he's a prospect.
But even if you look at his stats, it's not too bad. 10 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. So it's not too bad considering.
And he's had a lot of chances where he's been unlucky. Either he's been blocked or cleared off the line or hit the post right at the beginning. So he just looks like a guy who knows where the goal is. His movement is amazing.
I think next year is one to look out for. Obviously, Evan Ferguson, to see how he progresses to get to that next level that's required. That'll be here. It'll be good watch. But some good ties for the semi-final FA Cup. Brighton versus United, Sheffield versus Man City, and then you might have a Manchester derby in the FA Cup final.
Yeah, like I said, this is what you want in the big competitions. I like the fact that the FA Cup has more significance than it did a few years ago. I mean, it seems like, teams want to win it more and going for it. And that's credit to the approach of teams like Liverpool and City when they take the FA Cup a bit more serious in the later rounds, or they go far enough in it to keep it relevant. But it's exciting. I mean, there's good teams there. I mean, who is it? Sheffield United. What is the next stage? Quarterfinals or semis?
This is a semi-final.
Semi-finals.
So Sheffield United versus Man City, and the other one is Brighton versus Man United.
Yes, I just think that the big games, good games. I obviously would have preferred Sheffield United. The United.
I was gonna say. But on that note, I do thank you for the day. Thank you for joining us, and obviously thank you, Wally, for joining us earlier on. For those of you watching, please make sure you like, share, subscribe. As always, please share the video out, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts and views. It really helps us with pushing it out to more people. So do like, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, and please do make comments. It helps us. Thank you.